Hi, this is Bob Kerrigan. Thank you for joining us on the Law Show this Sunday morning. Glad to have you with us and hope that you will email us, text us, or call us with your questions. Our text number is the same as our office phone number, 850-444-4444. You can also email me, bob@kerrigan.com. That's KERRIGAN.com, or go to our website, kerrigan.com. For those of you in our Fort Walton Beach, Destin area, our telephone number is 244-1111, or you can certainly email us. You can text us from there too with the 850-444-4444 number as well. And in our Panama City viewers, same thing, only our telephone there is 871-5000. We have offices across the Panhandle, Kerrigan, Estes, Rankin, McLeod, and Thompson. We've been in the practice of law and participated in the legal community here for a long time, and all of the partners at Kerrigan, Estes, Rankin, McLeod, and Thompson are board certified. Board certification is a program of the Florida Bar, which is the organization of Florida lawyers. The organization of Florida lawyers, I think it's less than 1% of all lawyers are board certified. All of the lawyers of our firm are board certified. The other thing we don't have is we don't have associates. Your case is not passed off to somebody else to handle or to represent you, and somebody you may not have picked otherwise. And I think that's one of the problems with advertising generally is people see an advertisement for a law firm and they call that number, but they'll never see the people who are advertising. That's not true with all law firms, but it's true with many, especially these national firms and these what they call mega firms. You will never see the lawyers that are on TV, or rarely ever see them. Certainly they won't be representing 99.9% of the people that call them. And in our community, Kerrigan, Estes, Rankin, McLeod, Thompson has been a part of the legal community, as I've said, for a long time. And we are proud of our participation in our community. We're active in the community in many ways, in support of the charitable and other organizations in our community. Practicing law has become exceedingly difficult now. With COVID-19, our juries are not, we don't have jury trials. We're hoping that they start up here pretty soon, but it's been very difficult for people to have their cases heard or resolved because there's no jury trials. Why is it important in a civil case to have jury trials? We understand in a criminal case it's important to have jury trials. The criminal that's charged, the person that's charged rather, is entitled to representation and entitled to a trial by jury before a jury of their peers, as they say, people in the community. Well, why do we have so much delay now in getting things done? Well, when we had this backlog of cases that got continued or postponed because of the virus, COVID-19 problem, they all have to be resolved, and the delay has been extraordinary. So people can't get their cases resolved. They can't receive the compensation that they are fairly and justly due. And so the whole thing has just slowed way down. But the key is to aggressively, when you represent somebody, to aggressively investigate their case, push the case as hard as you can, try to get hearings before the court as fast as you can, and get the case to the point where you could try it before a jury once we start to impanel juries again. One of the things that we're going to talk about on the Law Show, and it's our goal to have kind of an educational component of it, is we're going to go through different segments of a jury trial, explain exactly what it is and how it works. We're going to talk about the structure of our courts and the structure of our appellate courts so that you have a better appreciation, if you have a case, for what lies ahead. Another thing that we're going to talk about at length is depositions. What is a deposition? A deposition is a formal questioning under oath, usually. Sometimes it's not under oath, but generally it is under oath. There are certain things that you should know about and understand if you're going to be deposed, have your deposition taken. We're going to go over those in the course of our discussion on the law show so that it will help you when you get ready to have your testimony taken. You'll be familiar with the process. You'll understand kind of what to do and not do. It's not that there are tricks to it, but there are certain things that you should do. One of the things that we tell people is always just answer the question that's asked. Don't volunteer a lot of things, because the other lawyer is not taking your deposition because they want to be your friend or they want to work with you or anything like that. Their job is to represent their client, whether it's the insurance company or the hospital or a doctor or whatever. Their job is to represent their client, and their goal in taking a deposition from somebody is to learn what their testimony is going to be, but also to find any kinks in the armor, any weaknesses, any vulnerabilities. Does the witness exaggerate? Is the witness candid? Does the witness appear to be telling the truth? Is the witness's story pulled together? So the lawyers that are taking the deposition have that goal. They want to find out, okay, what's going on here and what's the truth? And they're not there to be your friend. They're not there to help you. They're there to help their client. And when you understand that, then you respect it. It's certainly a good system, but you don't misunderstand what the process is. And we'll talk about that at great length over the course of the law shows that we're going to have in the future. But I will share this amusing story. So I had a client. This was a businessman who was a very bright guy. And I said, now, when they ask you a question, only answer the question. Don't go into anything else, and don't elaborate on it. Just focus on the question. Only answer the question. I said, I got it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So they start the deposition, and one of the very first questions was, where were you born? And his answer was something like this. Well, my father was stationed in Fort Hood. And had met my mom earlier when they were in high school, and then they eloped, and then he ended up going to service, and so then they were at Fort Hood. They weren't at Fort Hood that long, but long enough for me to be born there. So yes, I was born at Fort Hood. So after a few minutes, I went out in the hall. I said, how you doing on answering the questions that asked? He said, I've got it. I think I've got it. And I told him he didn't get it. He wasn't close to getting it. That what he was doing was he was engaging in a conversational communication with the other lawyer. Sort of like when you run into somebody at work or at church or in a civic club or whatever, and you're having a casual conversation, and you say, well, where were you born? Well, that's interesting because my dad was stationed in Fort Hood. And then you tell them that story, okay? Because that's the way people communicate. We don't communicate. One of the classic misunderstandings about lawyers is when they ask questions and they tell the witness, answer yes or no. Well, people don't communicate like that. That's a stupid thing to do. And I don't know why lawyers do it, but they are inclined to do it. But they don't. You don't talk to people like that. If you ask a person a question and they need to elaborate on it. Some you have to let them elaborate on it, and that's true. And that's true for seasoned trial lawyers who've been around and who know what they're doing. You don't cut somebody off, and you don't tell them answer yes or no. It's like, wait, we don't talk to each other like that. But what happens in a jury trial or in a deposition for a jury trial is it's entirely different. It's not a conversational activity. And so he actually was answering it as if a friend was asking him that question. And that's what he misunderstood. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Well, that story is probably more time than was needed to address it. But the idea is that you only answer the question that is asked. And you have to be on your toes. You have to be careful. You have to listen. We'll cover that, okay? We will cover that at length down the road in our law shows. My two law partners that are actively practicing now, Michael McLeod and Randy Thompson, will participate in the law show with me. They're going to do some segments on particular kinds of cases, so be listening for that. And if you have a particular kind of case, now we can't address factually specific cases, but for example, if you had a question about pharmaceuticals and a pharmacy prescribing the wrong drug, or filling a prescription, pardon me, not prescribing, but filling a prescription incorrectly, you can't have a physician prescribe the wrong drug too, but if there's a pharmacy error, we'll talk about that. What are pharmacy type cases? Are they different from medical malpractice cases? Are nursing home cases or assisted living facility cases, are they different than medical malpractice cases? Yes, and the answer is they are different. They're substantially different. So we'll go over those differences where people have a potential case can have a better appreciation for what their case is about. I think that the law show has been successful in the past in this respect, that we equip people with the kinds of information they need to ask better questions of the lawyer that they're going to hire. And these questions will allow the person who's considering to hire a lawyer to make a better and a more informed decision. Here's the problem. We know that insurance companies make tons of money. You cannot watch any night on television without seeing a Geico commercial. They spend over $1 billion. Last time I looked, it was $1 billion a year advertising. All the rest of them, they're not spending as much, but they're spending a lot. Even Farmers and some of these other companies, State Farm, Allstate, you get a 40% discount if you haven't run over a dog or something. Whatever these ads are, they're out there, and they are out there and permeating television because of the amount of money that's involved. Well, as a consumer, you can easily check and see what's the best deal, what's the best price, what's best for you. If you're buying a new car, it's the same thing. You can determine, well, I like this car. This is a nice car, but I'm going to drive this other one. Or I'm going to compare these two Ford dealers, and I'm going to get the best deal I can. It's very difficult to do that with professional people, particularly with lawyers or doctors. It's very difficult because you don't really have anything to compare to. We'll talk about that when we come back after the break. And we'll cover the case that we're investigating now that's a really terrible accident that happened just recently. We'll be right back after this short message.